Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the 1 to 20 scale Scopedog Berkoff Squad custom or Berkoff Squad version. Now this kit came out in 2008, and despite the age, it's actually pretty well, made, and it still holds up very well. And now before I go on to the review, there are some stuff I would like to mention. Number one is that I would like to mention, or I would like to apologize that I have decided to skip on the Master Grade Dunamis Gundam, or Gundam Dunamis. In Korea we call it Dunamis. I know like in other English versions I believe I've heard various pronunciations like Dynamis or Dynamis or whatever. But either way, I decided to skip it because there are more other stuff I really wanted to get. Even just today, or last night to be more technical, a Premium Bandai exclusive Master Grade Gym Cold Districts type has been announced, and I really want to pre-order that as well. Also, the Razihel custom is also out there in Korea. Hasn't taken pre-orders yet, and which is why I'm still waiting for pre-orders. And there are also other stuff I really want to get other than the Master Grade Dunamis. So hopefully you guys understand, because as I mentioned before, I want to get into the new content so I have more stuff to make reviews out of. So that's that, and sorry about that aspect. And number two, despite that I have reviewed the Brutish Dog, I'm not going to make comparisons with that because the Brutish Dog and Scopedog are already different from each other a little bit. And also, this kit, despite being a Scopedog base, there are some changes here and there, other than the obvious equipment. So, which is why this is going to be a full-fledged review, and going to be a bit of a long review because there are a lot of small pieces I need to show you guys. Alright, so let's get on to the review. Now, first of all, what you get, of course, is the Scopedog itself, with all those fancy equipment on it. Now, currently, I put it on its like standby mode or maintenance mode. That basically is folded up so it can be, touched. And here we have some. I believe these are, these are water slides. We get some water slide decals, all sorts of stuff. And in Korea, we don't actually call this the Berkoff Squad version. Even in Gundam-based Korea, this product is just named the Pilots and Files version, so interesting enough. And then we have this wire for the grappling hook action, but I kind of suggest you kind of cut it off because this is just a little bit too long to play with. And then we have another standing figure of the pilot, Kiriko, or Chiriko, whatever pronunciation you like. Now currently it's all orange, which does require some coloring. And then inside the Scopedog as well, there is another pilot, standing of Kiriko inside, so I will show you guys that later. But once again, as I mentioned, this thing comes with a lot of leftover pieces, and some of them I cut off, some of them I didn't. So here we go. So some parts are actually leftover, some parts I have no idea where they're from or what they're supposed to be for. And there is this one piece. There is this one small interesting piece that I would like to mention, which is technically not, these are technically not leftovers, but they're kind of interesting in their own way, which you guys might want to know. And here we do get stickers, but one of them is kind of mandatory, which is a backhead camera, like how Gunpla is on the backhead. Now this red one is actually a choice, which I will get into that as well, because we have one of these things, which you have two options. And here I'm trying to get out all the stuff I cut off. So here we have the plates, which I'll show you guys in separately. And here's the interesting aspect regarding this kit as well. And yeah, and I'm gonna say some leftover parts, they're not going to be that important, but just in case some of you guys actually are interested in seeing like leftover parts, because I remember in some of my reviews, I think it was the Zaku Half Cannon review, where I didn't actually show you guys the articulation, but I only showed you guys what the new stuff you get, and a lot of people actually appreciated that. Okay, so here we have all the stuff I cut off. So we're gonna start with the ones I cut off. So, well, this one is interesting. Well, not really that interesting, but if you look in the cockpit, this is the handles of like where the pilot actually holds on. But if you don't want to have the pilot inside, you can have these in. But if you want to have the pilot in, the pilot inside the cockpit actually has the hand with the handles as well, so you have to attach it. But on mine I have a little bit of an issue, but I would like to mention you do have these options. And then here we have some I'm not sure if these are the hand armor plates or leg armor plates, but yeah, we get some leftovers. because as I mentioned, the Scopedog, this version actually has some good changes from the original. And here we have one of those hooks, or one of these things that goes on the shoulder mostly, but once again, we don't get them. We get different ones, I believe. These ones, I think they're for the arms, but once again, I believe the one that's used on this one is actually a bit larger than these pieces. And then here we have these things, which I have no idea what they are. And we have some wheels, which I assume these ones also have different size, because I believe the Brutish dog has even larger wheels. So yeah, so we have wheels. And here we have something that goes on the waist, but we have a leftover, because I believe this came out from a double plate thing. This one also, this goes, I believe this is, no, this is actually for the grappling hook, but the hook only has 3 hooks, so you get 2 plates, and each plate came with 2, so obviously you are left with 1. And we have these parts. Once again, I have no idea what they are. And here, this part, these are for the waist section, that mostly, as you can expect, these are the parts that you connect the legs. But we have some changes regarding this, which I will try to show you guys as well. And let's see, here are the plates. Number 1 is this one for the rifle. Now currently I have the short version, but if you don't like that, you are able to make the long rifle, like how we mostly see the Scopedogs in the series. So you get all the plate parts for that, and even in the manual it does mention that you are able to make that with these as well. So yeah. And here we have another double plate leftover, that hook thing, and then for the waist section. And here we have some, I think these are from the arms. These are like leftover pieces from the arms. So basically I assume we have some different design or molds for the arm itself, since these are leftovers. And I assume these would be from the original Scopedog. And these are all polycaps. Yeah, despite their size and looks, they're very big polycaps, but surprisingly, we don't use all of them. And these are pretty interesting, which I will show you guys in what these parts are. Now, we have these small bolts, or not, I think these are bolts, yeah. When you're building the body, the waist section, you have like armor plates, and this is how you connect those armor plates, like by pushing these inside those small holes. Now, I did these with my hand, but if you don't like that, you can use it. They give you this wrench thing that actually comes on here. The main basic is that you put it on here, then you twist it off like that, and then you put it in. But I don't think that's really necessary. Of course, like there are some people who have a hard time like holding small stuff, which I guess it's a really good consideration. Alright, so let's get on to the review and talk about the interesting stuff. So currently, as I mentioned, I'm going to show off with the basic, like, maintenance mode, because on my Brutish Dog review, I had some struggle getting into this mode. So on this mode, there's not much you can do. I mean, you can move the arms, but yeah, this is like just a small gimmick, if you ask me. So I'm gonna get the legs back to normal position. Now, the left leg I had some trouble, but the right leg did not have any trouble getting into this position. Because a lot of these parts actually will clip in to certain areas, so they get locked into place. Problem is, sometimes those clipping in parts actually get stuck there, or they're just really hard on there. So, which actually is might be troublesome in getting certain gimmicks on, which is why I kind of loosened up certain parts. So hopefully you guys understand that aspect. So once you have the backpack back in position, you have to twist some parts back on. Okay, so we have everything prepared, so let's get on to the review. So, okay, so let's start with the head first. Well, I'm not sure if you can call this the head, but it is the head, so, because of the wonky design. Okay, I think I got the feet in the correct position, so the head. Now, the head is actually, like, how should I say, clipped on to the main body. So, the head itself can twist 360. Problem is, that antenna will get in the way a lot, so just be careful. And I say the antenna is pretty fragile, so I think if there's a part that you can break easily, it's going to be that antenna. So yeah, you can go 360 as you guys saw, and then the scope also moves 360. You can change their position any way you want. Now you can see the red scope over there. I have used that red orb sticker. No, I mean the green one. The green one is the the green orb sticker I've used, and that one I believe is mandatory. But the red sticker you see over there, that is just a sticker. For this time I just used a sticker because I believe for the British dog I used a orb sticker, but you do have an option for this. Now I thought there was like a clear piece on top of that, but surprisingly there was no clear piece. So I guess I was confused. But mostly I would suggest you could, if you can, I use this version. But it's really up to you to use the red sticker or the orb sticker. So up to you. And once again, because of the antenna, I suggest when you're opening the head visor, I suggest you put the grappling hook a little bit to the back, and you can open this section up to reveal the pilot inside. Now this is one way, but there's another way on where, once again, put the backpack a little bit. You can pull the entire thing up and then lift up the whole hatchet or cockpit, and you can see the pilot in there. And the pilot figure inside is actually pretty well done. While the normal standing one, it's just an orange body with a different color head. This one is actually pretty well done because on the head there's actually a clear piece on the head, and then on top of the clear piece you put those extra accessories like the mask and stuff, and the brown armor is actually separate pieces and no glue was required. Now the main issue is that those handles I've mentioned before, those are supposed to go onto that cockpit piloting area right over here. But if you want to have the pilot in there, you don't use those. And as you can see, the pilot on the hand, you actually can see the handle. They're supposed to clip onto there, but I'm having a little bit of hard time with the position and angle regarding that. But it's good to know that is another option. Okay, so also for the how should I do this? Okay, now for those bolts thing, this is where they use it. Now when you're building the main body on the side, you put these armor plates on top, and then there's like 6 holes or 7 holes here. You put those bolts inside those holes so it actually gets stuck in there. Now these don't actually fall off that easy. Every single one of them is inside there, and it's not going to be easy to take them out. So none of them are loose. I would like to mention that part. Oh boy. I'm having a little bit of trouble with the balance, but I think I got it right. So now let's talk about the arm. Now I did mention this came out in 2008, so there are some also elements that are lacking. So the arm can only bend about 90 degrees, and the arm can, oh boy, that backpack is starting to annoy me. But the arm itself is on a peg, so going 360 is possible. But in this case, because of the backpack, once again, it's going to get hindered. But I would like to mention, if you don't have that grappling hook or the backpack, you can go 360, and the arm itself has a nice 360 twist as well, and the arm can go 90 degrees to the side as well. That's very nice. And the shoulder armor does move on its own as well. And we have some extra armor for the hand. I guess these could be called like hand guards or hand flaps, whatever. And yeah, and the hands are like 1.0 style hands, or depending on how you look at it. So there's 3 fingers that moves together like this, and then we have 2 pegs because the weapon uses a peg and hole system. Problem is you only have 1 weapon, so you won't be using on this arm. The thumb moves on its own, and these are all on ball joints. Also, the finger is just a single piece, each of them, so there's no bending on the finger. And also a little bit nice detail, we have the hole where, because the Scopedog is able to do this like punch thing, like there we go. I believe I kind of failed to show this gimmick in the British dog as well, because once again, this thing actually kind of clips inside, so once you get it in, it might get stuck and not easy to pull out. So once again, we have this nice piston arm gimmick. So I'm going to lock it in place, and you can hear that click noise, which is why some people might struggle getting it out. Also, since the peg is coming out from the body, it's just a single peg, so there's no shoulder articulation. There's no forward and backward like how we see in modern kits. Okay. And also, I forgot to mention, there's this white panel here. You can open it up to reveal the feet for some reason. I'm not sure what this small hatch is for. And okay, so here we have the gun. Now currently it's pretty much locked into place inside the hand with those 2 pegs, and it's very tight, and the hands or fingers are very stiff. So yeah, and you can see you can put it on the other hand because you can see the holes are also on the other side. We have this handle that can move around, swivel around, and then we have this ammo clip thing. Now this is not actually just pegged in directly, it's actually clipped on, so you have to push up like that. So you can see the way how this works, it clips onto that section right over there. So as mentioned, if you want to have the long rifle, you are able to make the long rifle, but I find this one to be a little bit more efficient looking, so yeah. Now, I'm no gun expert, so I don't have much knowledge where if the longer the barrel, it gets powerful or it goes, farther or whatever. I'm no expert, so keep that in mind. Okay, now let's look at the body. Now, the body has pretty much no articulation because I saw it was able to go 360, but the way how this connects is on a single peg, but there's also locking teeth stuff, so it doesn't really move. If you want to move the body, you're going to have to pull out a little bit and then move around. Okay. Now let's talk about the backpack before I go on to the legs. Now the backpack. Now when I bought the Brutish dog, it had a backpack as well, but that was mostly meant for like its Gatling gun on the arm. Also, one thing that I was kind of struggling to get the normal Scopedog is that I felt like the back was very empty. I mean, I know the Scopedog is also kind of known for its simplicity looks, but yeah, but it's really nice to have this backpack going on. We have the grappling hook, we have the missile launcher. And I believe if you buy the Red Shoulder Custom, you get a different missile pack. You actually get a 9 missile pack. Well, this one's 12. And inside the missile pack, you can see those red missiles. Those are all, that came in as red as well. There's a separate piece, but I believe if you buy the Red Shoulder Custom, there's actually long missiles inside here. This one is not the case. Despite being long, these are just like, you will get a red piece of that consists of 12 of those things on the front part. So the inside is pretty much empty. There's no extra missiles in there. Okay. Let's look at the the waist section. Now once again we have more of those double plated joints, so we use those bolts in there. We have this thing which I'm still not sure what that is. Okay. What is that? Okay. But these the front skirt moves 90 degrees up front or a little bit more. Also side skirt has no no excuse. It goes a lot. For some reason, we have the front skirt for each side actually looks different. I do not know why, but if you know, let me know in the comments. And the back skirt also moves as well because of the maintenance mode or the folding up mode. And here comes where the difference is mentioned. Now I'm gonna pull off the leg. And here we have this part that connects the leg is actually a separate piece because while the first original Scopedog from Bandai was also pretty well made, I've heard some people were not too satisfied with the proportions of the Scopedog. So in order to fix that part, or not entirely, but at least improve that aspect, they decided to make a separate piece right over here. So this is a separate piece on the other side as well. So currently, you can change the position. So you can change this. You have to take out all the legs, I believe, and then you have to pull out the front. These two parts, front and back, and then you have to pull this part out, and then you have to rotate it down here so the peg goes a little bit more downwards, and which would also increases the height of the Scopedog and maybe the proportions or the way how it looks when it stands. So I say that's a pretty good, nice instant fix if you ask me. Okay. Other than that, now let's talk about the leg articulation itself. The leg articulation itself is very good because of the maintenance mode. So the leg wise can go forward about 90 degrees, and this is supposed to happen. This will be flappy around, and then you get a I say a nice 90-degree bend. Well, despite I believe the Scopedog, I don't think it can go even more even in the original series, but yeah, Scopedog can go bend 90 degrees. I think something. Yeah. Getting this part in will be a little bit tricky, but once you get it in, it might become a little bit loose due to time because as I mentioned, while getting into maintenance mode, I had trouble with this side of the leg, so I had to pull off a few things. And the feet also, as I mentioned, this thing is not on a swivel joint, so it's pretty much there. Oh, actually, technically there is a little bit of swivel going on there, but it's really minimal, so it's mostly mainly for changing positions here and there. I'm gonna pull off the leg once more and then show you guys this. Now the leg or feet, the feet is not on a ball joint. I would like to mention it's on multiple how should I say, multiple pegs and joints and yada yada. The feet can go left, turn left and right a little bit. It can't twist 360 because, as you can see, it's kind of on an angle, so which is why you can see the movement. It's kind of like limited. But on the bottom side we have wheels, and I believe the way how you're supposed to get the wheels off were pretty tricky. Oh yeah, the way how the wheels come down is you have the feet, you pull. Now you're technically supposed to pull this up. There we go. You pull this up and you can see, yeah, you get a nice click noise, and then the wheel actually pops out and it actually spins around. That's a very nice detail. And this, I really love this aspect. This actually was seen in the series multiple times where the character was actually using this to get stuck was on one leg and then spin 360 around. So this is a nice detail. So if you're doing like dioramas, this is going to be a very nice detail. So yeah, you can see it's not also loose. You can see it goes down and then you lock it up into place. So you don't need to worry about that like coming down often. So yeah. So I say it has everything that this kit has, everything that the show has actually shown you guys from the series. And I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, also regarding the leg, I need to check this part, but yeah, it can go to the side, but not much. This is as far as I can go, because the armor here is actually colliding as well. Okay, so we've seen the basics. Now the basic articulation. Let's talk about the other stuff. Now, one interesting aspect is that are these parts. Now, these are also kind of mentioned in the manual. Now, it's no big deal if you use these or not, but these are technically supposed to go on the legs right over here. But there's no peg or anything. So even in the manual, they tell you to glue this on. Now, I'm not sure what these are. I'm gonna guess these are either small fuel canisters or small grenades, where while they're riding around and then there's someone behind them, they drop it off. But yeah, you have to glue these parts on, so that's one thing I like to mention. And the insides are empty, so which makes it even a little bit more complicated than you think. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it. The only thing that's left is the grappling hook. The grappling hook is the 3 claw versions. I'm not sure if there's a big difference. Like when we see a grappling hook, it's always like these 3 claws, and it's never 4 or other stuff. But yeah, so you put the cable inside, and then put the other side inside. And there you go, and you can see the cable is just a little bit too long, and it's kind of dangling. So I suggest you cut the cable a little bit, to make it shorter, so you can have more playability. And also, those stuff on the backpack, the grappling hook, and the missile launcher are on a peg, so as you saw in like moving, you can move them or reposition them any way you want. And also on the backpack, I almost forgot to mention, this is interesting, we have more extra ammo clips, but not all 3 of them are usable. So I'm going to take this out. Only 2 of them are actually usable. So the way how this is that the 2 on the side are actually the ones you can use on the gun. The middle one is a fake one. It's just the middle piece that connects them together like that. And then also the main piece to connect it to the main backpack. But I find this to be really interesting, and I say that's I just love how they put consideration on the backpack as well. And I think that's pretty much it. Now, despite being a kit from 2008, if you love the series, the series called Votoms, I suggest you get at least 1 Votoms kit from Bandai. Now, I know there are some smaller ones from Wave, but according to a friend, they're way more meant for advanced, skilled people. So keep that in mind. But I definitely would recommend this Scopedog because it comes with more stuff, and possibly with a better, more proportions according to the stuff I've been reading. And it has a lot of play value. Granted, it doesn't have as much articulation as like modern kits, but it's really fun. If you've seen the series and then you build this kit, you will actually start like appreciating all the stuff, engineering that has gone into this kit. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the 1-20 scale Scopedog Berkoff Squad version. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.